The dance between Canada and China continues. We have the CEO of Huawei, Meng Wanzhou, who will soon be extradited to the United States. And China has detained two Canadians, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. Now, to talk more about this diplomatic crisis is our foreign affairs expert, Lisa Daftari. Now, Lisa, China is now saying the two Canadians attempted to steal state secrets? Come on.
Right. This is a classic case of China accusing others of what it has been notoriously doing for many, many years, and that is stealing state secrets and hacking and stealing intellectual property and copying trademarked technologies, etc. So obviously this is a bogus allegation. It's being used to trump up or justify charges against these individuals. It's also being used to almost even the playing field and to say, well, you have one of ours and we have some of yours, so let's just forget the whole thing. This is coming on the eve of China and the U.S. trying to work out a deal that would remove very vital tariffs on Chinese goods, and Huawei being the golden child of China. They don't want its reputation to be tarnished. They don't want its future products to be, banned or, looked poorly upon. This is the name of the company that's on the line, and it's China that's on the line, and it's the relationship between China and the West and the future of trade with China that's on the line. If you remember, when Donald Trump was just, a loudmouth New Yorker, he's still loudmouth, just no longer a New Yorker, when he would go around giving media interviews and had no aspirations, or at least public aspirations to run for presidency, he would always talk about how the United States lets China get away with murder in the economic stage. And this is exactly what has been going on for years and years and years. So China is not used to whistleblowers catching them in action and calling them out. So now, of course, they're going to use any excuse to justify their own actions against these individuals. So this is more of the same, but we'll see what will happen, especially as, again, Donald Trump and China look to cut a deal in the coming days.
Speaking of U.S. President Donald Trump, he recently met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump says North Korea has no economic future if it still continues with its nuclear program. Now, Trump says his administration's relationship with North Korea is strong, but did he make much headway in their last meeting with Kim? I mean, the meeting ended quite abruptly.
It did, and there was no formal solution that was arrived upon, but it was productive in the sense that Trump led with the economic leverage that the United States has over North Korea. And walking into this, North Korea had much more to gain than the United States. But let's rewind to the first meeting between the two heads of state, where we walked away with this elephant in the room as to who would fold first. It was like a catch-22. Would the North Koreans show any sign of denuclearization first, or would we see the United States remove sanctions first? And both sides waited for the other one to make the first move, and of course, nothing happened. So this time around, both Secretary of State Pompeo and Donald Trump, they were hopeful, but they were also pessimistic in knowing that the North Koreans were going to drive a very hard bargain. So they went in there wanting to cut the best deal and not just any deal. And of course, it didn't happen. But again, Donald Trump walking away from the table, believing that the upper hand is with the United States because the North Koreans have more to gain, and so they will come back to the negotiating table. That is why he's pushing this, economic future of North Korea is on the line. And if they want to choose their nuclear program over their economic future, that's their choice to make.
The U.S. is trying to prevent simmering tensions between India and Pakistan from impacting another country, Lisa, Afghanistan. It's where a fragile peace push is underway to try and end more than 17 years of war with Taliban insurgents.
Yes, this is an ongoing Rubik's Cube of a mess of the Middle East and Far East. The question that comes to mind so often, and every few years, I pose this question, and I don't know what the answer is, but why is there such a positive relationship between the West and Pakistan? Why? I mean, this country has harbored terrorists. It harbored Osama bin Laden. It has never helped with any intel with regards to counterterrorism measures. It's never helped the United States. They just get their foreign aid checks, and they cause trouble. They cause trouble from around the world, and that evil poison, that terrorism in which they harbor and they produce, gets spread out into other places in the world where we have assets like Afghanistan. And in this case, fighting with India. Why? Because both sides have nuclear weapons. It doesn't mean that we treat both sides the same. So right now we're dealing with a very, very precarious situation in Afghanistan. We're trying to stabilize the situation there as the U.S. withdraws completely from Afghanistan. We said this was a mistake to withdraw under the Obama administration because we did not see any strides made with regards to stability. The Taliban is alive and well, mixed in with a very prominent al-Qaeda branch. And again, it goes on and on. Every single week, there is a report of another suicide bombing that takes out civilians with high numbers of casualties. And you know, Hal, you and I speak about this almost weekly, but nothing's getting better.
And Lisa, around 150 ISIS fighters surrendered after a nasty battle in eastern Syria recently. But according to a military source, an unknown number of militants are still holding out.
Yes. So this is the question that keeps coming up is where do we stand in the fight against ISIS? How much is left? And it's very difficult to have this conversation in the quantifiable sense because whenever we talk about ISIS, we've talked about a military that at its peak was between 35 and 50,000. Now, when we talk about defeating ISIS, we talk about defeating that army which had possessed physical land. So we talk about the deconstruction of this caliphate that ISIS has created. But right now, when you have these pockets where they are unwilling to let go, then the question becomes how much more deeply do we have to look to see where these pockets are? First of all, where else do they have insurgencies? Second of all, thirdly, where are they spreading to? We need to look at other parts, not just in Syria, but in Iraq, in northern Africa, in the Sinai Peninsula. And then speak about the spread of ISIS and its recruitment across the web. So defeating ISIS is not a simple thing. But if we talk about it just in the micro sense of Syria, yes, they have been defeated. Yes, these strongholds are, as you said, between 100 and 200 maximum in terms of fighters. But again, this is not the end of ISIS. This is not the last time we're going to hear about ISIS, particularly in the West, in Europe, with the lone wolf suicide bombers, the recruits, the people that they're still able to find over the internet and the dark web. So it goes on.
Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido toured various Latin American countries recently to boost support for his campaign to tighten regional pressure on President Nicolas Maduro. Is he making any headway? Will the Venezuelan people finally receive some food aid, some relief, Lisa?
Well, the only way he's going to receive that aid is not by making a grand tour, but by the sanctions truly biting the Maduro regime. And really, the key here is to have more defections within the Venezuelan military, which we're seeing more and more of. This is just a conversation about attrition, about how quickly the situation can dissolve. But obviously, Guaido has the support of the West. He has the support of some key countries in Latin America. He has the support of the UN and many other government bodies. But right now, it's all about Maduro, the military, and most importantly, as you noted, Hal, is to get the humanitarian aid to the right people on the ground. It's awful to see that this aid is being sent and not getting to the right hands, being blocked by their own government. And when the Venezuelan people, even though we usually see the lower socioeconomic brackets cozying up to the dictators, in this case Maduro, when these lower socioeconomic brackets, the ones that need the economic help the most, see their leader, not defending the people, not allowing this aid to get in, not caring for the people, I think that will change a lot of hearts and minds. So I think this is going to just take some time, and it might get worse before it gets better, but every revolution does.
Yeah, praying that aid makes its way to the Venezuelan people. It's tragic what's going on there right now. A new report from Reuters says we may see a Brexit bribe. Lisa, UK's Prime Minister Theresa May has unveiled a $2.1 billion fund for Brexit-backing towns. It's an effort to support her EU exit strategy. Now, will it work? Britain is due to leave the bloc by the end of the month.
Yeah, when in doubt, just show the money, right? This is a slush fund that we hadn't heard about till now. It looks like Theresa May has more economic incentive. Many economists talk about Brexit as a economic leg up for the UK. And in this case, there's actually a fund to support the places that support Brexit. So Theresa May, I don't want to call her desperate, but she wants to push this through and she wants to make it a very seamless transition. I was at CPAC over the end of last week and over the weekend, and sat in on a very interesting panel on Brexit. And it seems like those who understand the realities on the ground think that it would make for a much better UK and future of the EU if this goes through right now.
Prince Harry unveiled a special memorial on Monday to the victims of 2 deadly attacks in Tunisia 4 years ago, Lisa. A gunman killed 30 Britons and 8 others in a rampage at a beach resort in June of 2015.
Yes, this was a very nice tribute that he revealed. I think many times these attacks happen and these people are forgotten. But to have a memorial for them, to have a place where their families can mourn and to honor the memory of those who died in that attack. I saw this headline, Hal, and to be honest, I cover all types of terror attacks, and I almost had forgotten about that one. And I said, wow, it's wonderful to honor these individuals. It was a very sad attack. These were people who were vacationing, obviously had nothing to do. Whenever it's civilian casualties, it's horrific. And their families still live with that reality. So it's a beautiful tribute, and it was nice for him to make this revelation to them.
2 more teenagers have been killed as knife murders soar in the United Kingdom. The number of people killed in stabbings this year is now 24. The attacks are pushing the bloodshed to the forefront of national concern.
Yes, yes. Again, you can couple up this topic with the national security concern that makes a bigger push for Brexit. One of the main concerns for Brexit wasn't just economic; it was also national security. When the UK would stand back and say, "We don't want to inherit the jihadi problem that our neighbors have because of their lax view on immigration," and they would look to France and Spain and Germany and say, "We don't want that issue." And now look. So they have that issue. Many, if not all, of these knife attacks are jihadi related. This is a tactic that is touted by ISIS as the do-it-yourself jihadi maneuver, that all you need is a kitchen knife, and you've made your mark and you've made your statement. It's horrific because there are days when you read the reports and there's 3 stabbings in London before noon. And these are individuals who are going about their business. They're riding the subway or getting to work or going to school. And it's an issue that they have to deal with. But again, taking a bigger look at society and the problems they have with these lone wolf, or whatever you want to call them, these self-radicalized individuals, is an issue that all of Europe is going to have to deal with.
Our foreign affairs and ISIS expert, Lisa Daftari, joining me once again from Los Angeles. Thanks so much, Lisa.
My pleasure.